3 years ago, my poor grandchild was almost roasted to death because of my wife's memory problems. It all started out so innocently. She was burning cookies, forgetting her keys, forgetting a name now and then. I didn't expect her to suddenly get full-blown Alzheimer's. I realized something was terribly wrong when she forgot our 2-year-old grandchild, Liam, in the boiling hot car at 120 degrees during one of the worst Texas heat waves that hit the state in the past 100 years, almost roasting him to death. Not only that, her memory became so bad, she started having some real difficulty remembering my name or the names of anyone in the family after that. I cried like a child when it happened, but it was that precise moment that led me to uncover why we lose our memories, why a real solution to memory loss was never found until 2019. Hint, scientists were looking in the wrong places, and how we can stop our minds from degenerating, declining, and succumbing to memory diseases. And if all that sounds crazy, I completely get it. But after reviewing thousands of scientific studies, I'll share some of those studies during this presentation, and receiving tens of thousands of thank you calls and emails from folks whose minds were saved by watching this presentation, I can tell you right now, as a scientific fact, memory loss doesn't happen because of genetics, age, or a bad lifestyle. Instead, recent breakthrough studies from reputable institutions such as Harvard Medical School, University of Buffalo, University of Leeds, and many more have proven beyond a shadow of doubt that all memory problems are caused by this one common bacteria in your body. A bacteria once thought to be harmless is now proven to be the leading cause of memory loss. It may sound like science fiction, but it's true. This bacteria uses your body as its personal feeding ground and nests for years inside your body and brain cells before feeding on them. These top medical institutes are finally starting to admit the threat is real. It has already infected more than 2.5 million Americans. People born before the 1960s are the most vulnerable. Perhaps the scariest thing is that its symptoms come on slowly. You may never realize your poor memory, headaches, or low energy is caused by this strange bacteria hiding in your brain until it finally takes over, wrecks your brain, and forces you to seek medical attention. Fortunately, there is a simple morning breath test you can do to find out if you're infected, and if so, how to get rid of it before it causes full-blown Alzheimer's, as in the case of my wife. And once you know how to get rid of it, you'll be able to live your life to the fullest while making sure you'll never need anyone to babysit you. You as you live out your golden years in an old people home instead of your own. In the next 5 minutes, I will show you the undeniable scientific truth. Why are there people with perfect memory well into their 90s while others experience forgetfulness in their 40s? The real root cause of memory loss, how a common bacteria will decide whether you'll lose your memories at 40 or at 60 years. The simple breath test you can do tomorrow morning in order to see if you're at risk or not. The 2019 buried Harvard study that showed the real root cause of memory loss and why nobody dares to talk about it. And the simple 30-second method that can bulletproof your brain cells against the memory-devouring bacteria. So, if you started forgetting your keys, wallet, grocery list, or even why you walk into a room, pay careful attention. Whatever your doctor tells you, senior moments are not normal, no matter what your age. So please, keep listening, because this information could save your life or the life of your loved ones. Just imagine what it would feel like to enjoy a clear, sharp mind well into your 80s or 90s. Imagine not having to end up in an assisted living home because you've become a danger to yourself and a burden to your family. Imagine doing all of the things you took for granted when you were young with amazing ease. Imagine being able to travel the world no matter your age. Imagine helping your kids and grandkids out and being the pillar of your family to whom they turn to for advice and guidance. All of these and even more are guaranteed in exchange for just 5 minutes of your time. My name is Carl Henderson, and I'm a professor of psychology living in Austin, Texas. 3 years ago, my wife Lisa experienced a terrible senior moment at the age of 64. She was arrested when she forgot our 2-year-old grandchild, Liam, in the boiling hot car. Liam was there for 2 hours at 120 degrees during one of the worst Texas heat waves that hit the state in the past 100 years. I remembered standing next to his hospital bed and praying for his life. As I watched him lying there in a coma with the whole family there in tears, another news hit me like a full-speed bus. Lisa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Your wife has an advanced form of Alzheimer's. Were you aware of that? The doctor asked. No, I mean, she's been forgetful, but no one diagnosed it. Make an appointment for her to be thoroughly checked out as soon as possible, he said. In the meantime, she can't be left alone until she's properly medicated, if ever again. I was floored. I started crying when I thought about how she would be unable to hold conversations or bathe herself. That she would continue to get worse until she stopped having any lucid moments at all. And that she would probably require 24-hour care at a nursing home before she finally passed away from the hideous disease. And with Liam, despite a close call with death, Liam made it out alive. But still it tormented me with fear to this day that he may be scarred for life. While Lisa, my wife, couldn't live with herself, she was constantly overwhelmed with guilt. She kept refusing to be alone with Liam out of fear that she may hurt him somehow. I feel unworthy of the word grandmother, Carl. I don't deserve to live for what I did, she told me one night while crying hysterically. I felt useless. I felt that I should tell her it would get better with time, but I knew better than anyone that time was not her friend. She'd only get worse. The once cheerful and chirpy wife turned into a gloomy and depressed shadow of herself. I hired a full-time nanny to make sure she was safe during the times I was not there. But Lisa stopped being involved with Liam altogether. She'd just sleep all day and would barely find motivation to even shower. She took all the medications prescribed, 7 expensive pills to be exact, such as Aricept and Razodine, but aside from giving her regular nausea and crazy diarrhea, things didn't seem to be improving. When I sleep, I know I can't hurt anyone, she told me weeks later through a curtain of tears rolling off her once blushing cheeks. One day, Lisa came down the stairs with a wad of papers and dumped them into my lap. I've contacted the lawyer. This is my will. I want to be put in a home when I no longer know your names. I want to be cremated once I'm dead. Her words tore my soul apart. We were supposed to have at least 40 more years together. I'm going to weigh you down, Carl. You know that. That night I realized there was no way I was going to wait for a medical breakthrough to make my wife better. I needed to create one myself, or could no longer call myself a man and father again. I didn't care that the doctor said there was no real solution for Alzheimer's. I wasn't going to let it happen. So, after tossing and turning in my bed all night, I spoke with my university and took an extended leave of absence. I went to the bank to take out a mortgage on our small house and a small business loan to fuel my own research efforts. I knew I had to do it. I knew that a solution for my wife will not come from the big pharmaceutical industry. Think about it. It takes at least 12 years for a drug to be approved by the FDA. Who cares about the patient? I then began spending every single moment of every day poring over Alzheimer's research. I just knew there had to be some solution to stop this madness, and I was going to be the one who found it. I mean, I was a psychology professor with a PhD, for goodness sake, and brains were my business. What I needed to do was look at scientific facts and evidence, get a good understanding of exactly how Alzheimer's works, and then start considering every single alternative, or outside-the-box solution possible. So I became a student again, studying professional opinion, scientific journals, medical publications, university archives, and health libraries as though I'd never seen them before. I flew to top medical conferences around the world, talking to world-renowned doctors and brain experts. At first, everything I learned was pretty discouraging. I learned that while there were tons of information out there about memory loss, the medical community was still completely unsure how to treat Alzheimer's. But then I made a wild discovery, one that can send the entire medical industry on fire. Ask yourself, why are there people with perfect memory well into their 90s, while others experience forgetfulness in their 40s? Now, you probably heard the name Alzheimer's being thrown around everywhere, or you may have even unfortunately witnessed how a loved one suffered from it. But do you know where the name Alzheimer's comes from? Over 100 years ago, the German psychiatrist Alois Alzheimer published his observations on a former patient named August Dieter. August had what we now call Alzheimer's disease. You will see in just a few minutes how her case helped me uncover why memory loss appears in the first place. I'll spare you my months of continuous struggle and take you directly to the one study that changed everything we knew about memory loss. A study which most doctors would have never heard of. You see, memory loss does not start in the brain, as every brain doctor would claim. It starts somewhere else, in your gums. A 2019 buried Harvard study confirmed this unexpected conclusion. Until recently, the entire medical community believed that there is a gene that is present in certain people that can trigger the development